When God speaks, the whole earth trembles. The Bible compares his voice to one of the loudest of events that can happen on the earth, thunder. One example was on the occasion when Jesus asked the Father to glorify his own name.
Father, glorify thy name. Then came there a voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. The people therefore that stood by and heard it said that it thundered. Others said, and angels spake to him.
Another time was when God presented himself to the people of Israel on Mount Sinai.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly.
On that occasion, God spoke on the earth. Many prophecies have indicated that at the end of time, God will speak from the heavens, shaking them as well, as Paul affirms this.
See that ye refuse not him that speaketh. For if they escaped not who refused him that spake on earth, much more shall not we escape, if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven, whose voice then shook the earth. But now he hath promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven.
God has already given many messages through heavenly events, some of which are recorded in the article Signs and Wonders in Heaven, available on our website, whitecloudfarm.org. Those messages served as warnings of the plagues that are now already being poured out on the world. And in his mercy and love for his sincere children, God is speaking with his own voice to announce the imminent return of Jesus. In our recent video entitled, How Long, O Lord?, which you can also find on our website, we presented the voice of God coming from his throne, which can be seen and heard through the lightning and thunder on an astronomical scale, resounding throughout the galaxy.
And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God.
We have all experienced how in a thunderstorm we see the lightning and moments later we hear the thunder. If the lightning strikes too close, our heart stops and we close our eyes tightly in anticipation of the great thunder. We notice that the farther away the lightning strikes, the longer it is till the thunder is heard. To understand why this happens, we must first understand what makes thunder. The light we see in the lightning is produced by a powerful electrical discharge. This electrical discharge heats the air around it to a temperature of 29,000 degrees Celsius, making it increase its volume considerably. Then when the hot air is forced into the cold air, it contracts again, thus producing a shock wave that propagates through the air molecules in the form of a compression wave. This is the thunder we hear. The way these waves propagate is similar to ocean waves, and they travel through the air at a speed of 340 meters per second. That is, they travel at a distance of about 1 kilometer every 3 seconds. In contrast to these low sound waves, the light we see coming from the lightning reaches our eyes almost instantly, because it is a form of electromagnetic radiation, which travels at the highest known speed according to our classical concept of the universe, almost 300,000 kilometers per second. This difference and characteristics between light and sound applies to the heavenly phenomena as well. Gamma ray bursts and fast radio bursts, GRBs and FRBs, are both forms of electromagnetic radiation, but they have very different characteristics and fall within very different frequency ranges on the electromagnetic spectrum. Gamma rays are at the highest frequency, much higher than visible light, and this makes them more comparable to the lightning of a storm than to the thunder. Fast radio bursts, on the other hand, are radio waves at the low frequency end of the spectrum, which itself makes them more comparable to the slow thunder than to lightning. Not to mention the radio waves are normally used for voice transmission. The difference in speed between light and sound can be checked by performing an easy science experiment, measuring the speed of sound by clocking how long the sound from a distant object requires to travel to the observer. For example, a piece of wood can be hit with a hammer, and a distant observer can time how long it takes from the moment the hammer is seen to strike the wood, for example, the visible light reaches the observer, until the sound of it is heard. In a similar way, it is possible to tell how far a bolt of lightning strikes by measuring how long it takes before the corresponding thunder is heard. The longer the delay, the farther away the lightning strike was. By doing such a measurement repeatedly, it is even possible to determine if the thunderstorm is generally coming closer or going farther away. If we apply the same principle to the voice of God, and if the message of the lightning from his throne tells us that Jesus is coming, then we should be able to measure whether his return is closer now than it was before. Remember, and how long, O Lord, there were 3 FRBs in our galaxy, all in the year 2020, on April 27, May 24, and October 8. These were the thunders that rolled from lightning that flashed before. In the sense of measuring the nearness of Christ's return, it is helpful to make a distinction between the first 2 FRBs and the last FRB. Could it be that the first 2 FRBs, which were comparatively close together, April 27 and May 24, 2020, are the peals of thunder from the April 27, 2013 GRB lightning bolt, while the last FRB on October 8, 2020 is actually the thunder from a different lightning? We had another bright light come down to earth after the first 2 FRBs had already sounded, as the heavenly sign of the Ark of the Covenant unfolded.
And the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings, and voices, and thunderings, and an earthquake, and great hail.
You can learn more about the heavenly sign of the ark in the article Treasures of the Lost Ark. But the second lightning in connection with the ark was the comet Neowise, which represents the 4th angel of Revelation 18 descending to the earth, who is one of the protective cherubim of the Ark of the Covenant. Please read our article, The Comet of Elijah, for more information. In another place, the Bible indicates that when an angel comes down to the earth, lightning accompanies his descent.
And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven.
If Satan's descent to the earth was as lightning, it only makes sense that his replacement also descends with lightning, especially when the Bible says that the earth was filled with his glory, as lightning lightens the whole earth when it flashes in the sky.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory.
In fact, this angel Gabriel is the same angel that called Jesus back to life in the Father's name, and the Bible describes this scene in the same terms.
And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow, and for fear of him the keepers did shake, and became as dead men.
So, since there were voices and lightning and an earthquake at the approach of this angel before, it stands to reason that the appearance of Comet Neowise during the sign of the Ark of the Covenant, particularly its closest approach to Earth, qualifies as the lightning flash that was subsequently answered by the thunder of the FRB of October 8, 2020. This allows us to take time measurements and recognize that the coming of Jesus is indeed getting closer. The first lightning and thunder pair took 7 years, from April 27, 2013 to April 27, with an echo on May 24, 2020. But the second lightning and thunder pair took only a matter of months, from July to October. Thus, the storm cloud of Jesus' return is getting closer and is almost here. God uses illustrations from everyday life like lightning and thunder to speak to us about how His salvation is approaching amid the stormy conditions of life today. Do you hear His voice, or do you hear only thunder? Watch our other videos and read our articles at whitecloudfarm.org to hear and understand what He has been saying, which the world hears as mere thunder.